So, I think I'm all in on doing redrafts for a bit, because they are pretty interesting to go back on, and some of these do get your brain going a little bit, and I do think this draft is interesting, because we're dealing with a couple of bigs and perimeter guys, and also some guys who have dealt with injury and stuff, so I think it's cool. All that being said, Luka is still number one, because the dude is already one of the 10 best players in the league. He was in the MVP conversation for a little bit, and okay, fine, he didn't end up being really an MVP contender in his second season, but that is still pretty damn impressive nonetheless. So, Luka number one. Number two, Trae Young. So Trae versus Jaren Jackson is interesting to me. If you believe that Trae is just never going to be good enough defensively, or I should say, if you think that his defense is always just going to be so bad that it's going to nullify everything he does on offense, then you'd probably go Jaren Jackson here, because there is a case to be made for Jaren Jackson that he can defend all 5 positions and score 20 a game one day. I think that's a lot to ask. I've seen Trae Young already average 30 a game and stretch defenses out and, average a bunch of assists, and I just think I think you can figure it out around Trae Young defensively. Not saying it's going to be easy, but I think you can get there. And so I would go Trae number 2, Jaren Jackson number 3. I like him more than Ayton, Bagley. Wendell is an interesting one. I think Wendell definitely becomes a little more interesting than he was in the original draft. And even then he did go 7th, so, it's not like teams weren't low on him. But yeah, so it gets very interesting at about number 4 to me, because it's like I got Ayton and Bagley. Bagley I've barely seen play. Ayton, second season, and we understand the risks as well as the reward with him scoring inside, but can he bring it defensively? On the flip side, I know Wendell is already good on defense, and to me, Wendell is like kind of the guy keeping the Bulls even relatively afloat. But then I've also got Shea, and I got Sexton, and Devontae, and perimeter players. There's a lot of options to go in, and I feel like depending on who you ask, you could get very different outcomes for redoing this draft. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do it. That and the other one because I did the 2019, so obviously I'd go into the 2018. And I think it should also be said, you do have Michael Porter Jr., and while you are risking injury, if he hits, then he could end up being maybe... I don't know if he's going to be the best player out of this draft, because that means he's like the 5th best player in the league, but he could be number 3 if he's scoring over 20 a game one day. Number 3 in this draft, I should point out. Who am I going to go with? I kind of want to go with Shea, number 4, honestly. Versatile defender. His scoring has already kind of jumped up. His 3-point shooting seems like it's going to be pretty good. 35% on 3 a game. His free throws look good. 80% on 5 a game. 19 and 6 and 3, which, funny enough, his scoring is pretty close to Colin Sexton's, and yet we all like Shea a lot more. To me, Shea can just do a lot of stuff. To me, he could be a multi-time all-defense candidate on top of scoring, high teens, low 20s. I guess the fear with Shea is if he's not as good at breaking down defenders and making plays for teammates as you'd really like him to be, but I feel like he's on his way to being great at all that stuff. And so another spot falls where I haven't taken Ayton and Bagley. Do I go Wendell over DeAndre Ayton and Marvin? I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to take Wendell number 5. To me, Wendell, he's just such a safe bet. To me, he's already not too far away from what is, the idea of him was, this just fundamentally sound two-way dude. Now, the injuries are a thing, I should say. If I'm going to talk about Bagley's injuries, I got to talk about Wendell's as well. The guy's played 2 half seasons. But he was back for at least 6 games before the season ended, so I guess he could have, finished out with 60-something games played or whatever. And I just like him a lot. I feel like he just does all the boring big man stuff at a good level, and I could see his shooting maybe being a thing one day, and perhaps a little more aggressiveness on offense, and whatever else. So I like him. Is he as exciting as DeAndre Ayton? No. Is Ayton going to score more points than Wendell? Yeah, probably. But I feel like it's one of those things where Wendell could just still end up being the better player. And so now we're at number 6. I think I will take DeAndre Ayton now. I mean, you are guaranteed 20-something points, and the big thing with Ayton is just, can he figure it out on defense? And he's made progress. I mean, he went from bad to average to occasionally good. Occasionally not good as well, but it's progress nonetheless, right? And that's good. It's very good. The other fears with Ayton is that he's not aggressive enough on offense because the dude doesn't shoot free throws, which is not very encouraging for his play style and all that. But up to this point, he's averaged 17 and 11 on 3 offensive rebounds a game, and there's value in that. He's a very efficient offensive player. I mean, he shoots, what does he shoot at the rim? 70%. It's good stuff, so yeah. And now for number 7, I think I'm going to go with MPJ. He's the biggest roll of the dice in the draft to me, even a little bit more than Bagley. But we've seen what he can do occasionally when he's been given some minutes in Denver, right? If you're that tall, 6'10", whatever he is, and you can beat guys off the dribble, you can hit tough shots, can grab rebounds, hopefully play some defense, it's a very high ceiling. Very, very high ceiling. And to me, like, DeAndre Ayton is kind of the cutoff of, like, okay, if it's between that guy and MPJ, I probably just got to take that guy. And even then with Ayton, it's a little dicey. But, you know, like, if I lost out on Bagley because I took a chance on MPJ, I'd feel fine with that. So, yeah, that's MPJ at number 7. Number 8, I will have Bagley. You know, what do I know about him? I know he's athletic. I know he can go off the dribble. I assume he can be a great role guy, and I think he's got potential defensively because of his physical gifts, even if his brain is not all the way there right now on that side of the floor. Now, for number 9 and number 10, I've got 2 relatively similar players, Devontae Graham as well as Colin Sexton. I think I'm going to go Devontae 9, Sexton 10, mainly just from Devontae's playmaking being a little better. Both can score, and Sexton's shooting keeps improving. I mean, Sexton averaged 21 points on a 56% true shooting. It's pretty good. And when you take into account that everything around him was stupid, perhaps it's even a little more impressive. Okay, so Sexton and Devontae are 9 and 10. I'm going to do the last 4 spots here. This is the part where you just start kind of just picking guys off of whatever. Number 11, we can go Kevin Huerter. I think he can just be a knockdown shooter. That's always nice. Showing some stuff off the dribble. Didn't really take a year or 2 jump like that, but didn't get worse either, so that's nice. I mean, sometimes it doesn't happen in 1 year. It just happens gradually, kind of like the Tobias Harris thing. So maybe Huerter averages 15 next year, 18 the year after that, and, you know, maybe that's his ceiling. I don't know if he can be a 20-point guy, but, you know, solid 17 a game, good player. Number 12, I think I want to go Mitchell Robinson. Robinson, like, the ceiling for him is a great rim protector. The floor is fouls too much, doesn't do enough on offense, whatever else. But the advanced stuff would suggest Mitchell Robinson is, like, secretly the best player in this draft. I mean, he's extremely efficient. He shoots 74% from the field. And, you know, he grabs a lot of rebounds and not a lot of minutes and all that type of stuff. But there's other things to it. 13th, we'll go Mikal Bridges. Seems like a solid enough 3-and-D guy. His arms are insanely long to the point where it looks like his arms are, like, kind of photoshopped. Like, if you ever just watch the Suns and focus on Mikal Bridges' arms, it's like, wait a minute, what? Have we just discovered the second alien besides Giannis? So he can be 13th. And then for 14th, I don't know, man. We got Dante DiVincenzo, Anthony Simons, Troy Brown, Shake Milton, Aaron Holiday, Mo Wagner. There's Miles Bridges. Maybe I'll go Miles Bridges, you know? The guy can dunk. There's also Shamet. Maybe, you know what, I'll go Shamet. I like Shamet. Good shooter. I don't think he's got like Herter's upside because I don't know. He's a little shorter. Don't know if he has the same like projections defensively and whatever, but the dude can shoot, and you know, an off-ball guy who can make some shots. It's a nice thing to have. So yeah, Shamet will be the 14th. And so to do it one more time, Luka, Trae, Jaren Jackson, Shai Gilgeous, Wendell, DeAndre, and Michael Porter Jr., Marvin Bagley, Colin Sexton, Devontae Graham, Kevin Huerter, Mitchell Robinson, Mikal Bridges, and Landry Shamet.